Hello everyone. Today, I'm back with a new video, continuing the story between James and Diep. Over the past days, even though he has always been watching Diep from afar, James has tried his best to keep enough distance so she wouldn't notice his presence. He observes her every move, every change, yet always stands far enough away for Diep not to see him and not to suspect anything. At the same time, James has been quietly preparing a plan to overthrow his own father, a plan filled with danger and risk, but one he is forced to carry out. Every step must be calculated, every action must remain absolutely secret. So, follow today's video to understand more about what is happening behind the shadows, and see what James will continue to face on this difficult journey. The evening sky was slowly closing in, and the last light of the day dripped over the old rooftops, forming a thin layer of gold that covered the narrow alley. The air turned cool and quiet, as if the entire neighborhood were holding its breath. The alley, already cramped, stretched out endlessly, making even the slightest breeze feel sharper as it brushed past peeling walls and slipped into the spreading darkness. James leaned against a weathered gray wall. The dim light swept across his face, casting shadows over eyes that never stopped scanning. His hands tightened slightly, as if trying to anchor himself against the unease creeping through his chest. From where he stood, he watched the mouth of the alley without blinking. Every tiny sound, every fleeting silhouette made his heartbeat tighten. The tension wasn't just written on his face, it seeped into the air around him. From afar, the deep hum of a car engine broke the stillness. A black car rolled forward slowly and stopped at a safe distance. The door opened, and Lynn stepped out. The moment his feet touched the ground, he lifted his head, scanning the alley with sharp, sweeping glances. Each look was so precise it felt like it could cut through the quiet air. His breathing slowed, and every step he took was silent, calculated. He didn't need anyone to remind him, Lynn was already used to checking security before approaching James. He turned his head, looking behind him, over rooftops, and into the dark corners, ensuring no one had followed. "No one followed me," Lynn said, his voice low, as if meant only to reach James's ears before disappearing into the air. "I circled around 3 streets and parked a kilometer away." James remained silent for a few seconds, watching Lynn while also glancing behind him to double-check. Only when he was certain did he finally nod. His voice dropped, thick with caution. "Come up here. Things are growing more dangerous every day. I don't want anyone knowing we're meeting." In the alley now swallowed by darkness, James's words felt like a quiet warning, heavy, unavoidable, and echoing in the night. Lynn pulled the wooden chair toward himself. The legs scraped lightly across the floor, producing a dry, cold sound that cut through the already suffocating silence. He sat down, quickly, but far from comfortably. His back and shoulders remained stiff, as if he had to be ready to react to danger at any second. In Lynn's hand was a small black USB and a thick stack of photographs, tied together with an overstretched rubber band. He placed both items on the table. When the stack of photos hit the wooden surface, the sharp clack echoed through the room, dry, crisp, and heavy enough to make the air feel even thicker, as if warning that something irreversible was about to unfold. "These are what I recorded inside the warehouse," Lynn said, his voice low and slightly hoarse, as though he had spent hours whispering in the dark. "Someone was coming in and out around midnight. They were moving something definitely not part of the company's official operations." As he spoke, Lynn unconsciously placed both hands on his knees, fingers tightening. His breath grew heavier and shorter, like he was trying to bury the unease that rose each time he recalled what he had seen. James reached for the stack of photos. His fingers turned each page slowly, carefully, as if he wanted to dig into every smallest detail. The warm ceiling light cast shadows on his face, revealing the tension gradually tightening across his features. With each picture he looked at, his expression darkened a little more. Every photo felt like a slice carved into his mind. The deeper he looked, the darker his gaze became. His eyes narrowed, shifting from stunned suspicion, to burning anger he could not hide, and finally to a heavy mix of disappointment, pain, and a dread too complex to put into words. "This still isn't enough," James said after a long silence. His voice was slow and heavy, as though he were carrying a weight that pressed into his very bones. I need more, especially monitoring my father's movements. At that, Lynn froze. He lowered his head slightly, but his eyes widened in shock. His lips trembled, struggling to form the words he dreaded to say. "Boss, are you sure?" he whispered, barely above a breath. "If your father is really involved in this." Before Lynn could finish, James inhaled sharply, as if gathering every shred of courage he had left to face a truth that could overturn everything he believed in. His chest rose and fell rapidly, and the hand resting on the table clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned pale. "I need to know the truth," James replied. Each word came out like a blade, sharp, firm, and edged with pain. "I can't let my family and the company fall into the wrong hands." The room fell silent after that. Not the ordinary kind of silence, but a suffocating stillness so heavy that even Lynn's faint breaths felt amplified. Inside that oppressive atmosphere, James's determination spread through the room, cold yet burning, like the calm before a storm that was finally taking shape. Lynn lowered his head slightly, as if trying to steady himself before saying something important. He took a deep breath, held it for a few seconds, then exhaled slowly. It was the kind of breath that carried out all the worry, pressure, and fear he had been holding inside for days. His shoulders sagged for a moment before tensing again, revealing not only inner conflict, but a growing determination. "No matter how dangerous it is." "I'll do it," Lynn said, his voice deeper but unwavering. "You've helped me and my brother too much. Without you, we wouldn't have survived what happened before. This is the time I repay that. I can't just stand and watch." In the dim light of the room, Lynn's eyes reflected a deep gratitude. And beneath that gratitude was a firm, immovable resolve. He wasn't looking at James as a subordinate, but as someone who had once been pulled back from the edge, now willing to step into danger to protect the person who saved him. When the conversation shifted to Fat, James's longtime friend, James's expression changed instantly. The moment the name was mentioned, he shook his head, quickly enough that Lynn didn't even have time to ask. "There's no need to investigate Fat," James said, his voice not loud but absolutely firm. "He's someone I trust completely. In this world, it's only you and Fat." Those words were like a solid wall, blocking every doubt while revealing just how rare and precious James's trust was, reserved for only two people in a life full of chaos. His tone wasn't forceful, but it carried a weight heavy enough to compress the air around them. Their conversation continued for a while longer, exchanging necessary details, small plans, and things only insiders would understand the gravity of. Slowly, the pace of their words eased, and Lynn knew it was time to leave. He pushed the chair back. The soft scrape of wood against the floor sounded like a dividing line between safety and danger. Lynn stood straight, clasping his hands behind him to hide the slight tremor in his fingers. It wasn't fear of dying, but the knowledge that what he was about to do could change everything forever. "Boss, don't trust anyone during this time," Lynn said quietly, each word like a warning carved in stone. "I'll try to infiltrate deeper into the storage area. But if I get discovered..." He stopped, not because he hesitated, but because he refused to speak the worst outcome aloud. The flicker in his eyes wasn't fear for himself, but fear for his boss. James stepped closer, closing the distance between them to just an arm's reach. He looked straight into Lynn's eyes, his gaze firm and full of trust. "I'll take care of you," James said, his voice low and steady, a promise carved into stone. In that moment, there was no handshake, no grand vow, yet both of them understood completely. They were standing on the same side of the battlefield. Even if the path ahead was smothered in darkness, danger lurking in every corner, and a storm quietly gathering strength, they would continue forward, without looking back. When Lynn left, the door closed softly, yet the sound echoed loudly inside James's chest. The room instantly sank into a thick, suffocating silence, as if all the air had been pulled out, leaving only shadows and a man standing alone beneath an invisible weight. James didn't move right away. He stayed there, motionless for a long moment, as though his body had forgotten how to breathe. The warm yellow light cast a faint glow over his face, making his eyes look deeper, more conflicted than ever. Finally, he slipped a hand into his pocket and pulled out his phone. The screen lit up, illuminating the tired lines on his face, tension mixed with a tenderness he tried so hard to hide. On the screen was a photo of Diep and little Nee, two bright smiles so pure that just looking at them was enough to soften his heart. He pressed his lips together, his voice barely above a whisper. I wonder what the two of them are doing right now. His hand glided across the screen, slow and careful, as if afraid of hurting the people inside the picture. Diep, do you know how much I miss you? Every word carried a pain buried too long, a longing to be near them, to see them, to protect them. Yet all he could do now was look at a photograph. At Diep's house, a fragile waiting. By late afternoon, the sky above Diep's home was painted a soft orange. The breeze drifted through the fence, carrying the scent of earth, sunlight, and the simple peace of a small, humble house. In the yard, little Nee sat with her legs crossed, her tiny hands scooping up sand again and again. She was focused on building a sand house, its roof crooked, but her eyes sparkled as if she were creating an entire world. While building, she kept turning toward the gate, as though waiting for someone familiar to appear. Auntie Diep. Her small voice was soft, tinged with sadness. Why is Uncle James taking so long? I miss him. Diep, who was standing nearby, felt her heart sting. She quickly crouched down, forcing herself to smile despite the redness already burning around her eyes. Uncle James is just on a business trip, sweetheart, she said gently, keeping her voice steady. We just need to hold on a little longer, okay? Nee nodded, but the innocence in her eyes dimmed. She returned to her sandcastle, but her hands no longer moved with their earlier excitement, as though even her tiny longing was enough to slow her movements. And Diep stood behind her, watching in silence. When she was sure the child wasn't looking, she wiped away the tear that had slipped down her cheek. James, her breath trembled. This time, you disappeared without a word again. Children's hearts are fragile. But a woman in love is even more delicate. The evening breeze suddenly grew stronger, brushing against Diep's clothes. She stood in the yard, her small figure stretching out in the fading light, like someone trying desperately to stand firm against the loneliness surrounding her. Then, footsteps sounded at the gate. Diep looked up. It was James's friend, the man who had come many times before to help them. He stepped inside with a serious expression, but his eyes carried the comfort she had been silently longing for. Diep, he said, his voice deep and steady. Don't worry. I promise. I will bring James back safely. Just that one sentence. And everything Diep had been holding back for days suddenly broke. She lifted a hand to cover her mouth, a sob escaping before she could stop it. I just want him to come home. Her voice shook, filled with longing, love, and unbearable fear. Tears streamed down her cheeks, glistening in the last light of the day, like a silent prayer for the man far away somewhere in the shadows. Little Nee was playing with the sand when she heard Diep's soft sob. The sound was faint, thin as a passing breeze, yet to a sensitive child like her, it was like an alarm bell. She immediately lifted her head. Her round, crystal-clear eyes widened in panic. In that moment, they shimmered as if tears were about to spill. The way she looked at Diep, with worry and pure affection, could soften the heart of anyone standing nearby. Without anyone urging her, without a second of hesitation, she sprang up from the sand. Grain scattered around her little feet, but she didn't care. She ran with her tiny, unsteady steps, fast, almost frantic, as if afraid that if she was even 1 second late, Diep might become even sadder. She threw herself into Diep's arms, her small arms wrapping tightly around Diep's waist with all the strength she had. Auntie Diep, don't cry. Her voice trembled, tight and choked right at her throat. If you cry, then I'll cry too. Those words, simple, innocent, pierced straight into the softest part of Diep's heart. She could feel every tremor in the child's voice, every shaky breath, every tiny finger gripping her clothes out of fear. Diep bent down and gently rested her forehead against knees. They were so close she could smell the faint sweetness of a child's hair and feel her warm breath. But on Diep's lips was the salty taste of tears, tears she had tried so hard to hold back but couldn't. Then suddenly, Diep laughed through her tears. A trembling, wet little laugh, but one that made her heart warm. She lifted me into her arms, holding her tightly like the most precious gift in the world, an unexpected source of comfort she didn't know she desperately needed. "No one is crying," Diep whispered, her voice soft and fragile yet full of effort. "We'll wait for Uncle James together, okay?" Nee buried her face into Diep's shoulder. The little girl didn't answer at once, she simply hugged tighter, as if trying to share a bit of her small but sincere strength. "Yes." Her voice was tiny, barely louder than a mosquito. "But I'm still mad at Uncle James." She pouted hard, her cheeks puffed up, eyes narrowed in an adorable little tantrum. So cute that Diep couldn't help but laugh out loud. This time, her smile was clearer, brighter, cutting through the sadness that had filled the air. "Mad is mad," Diep said, tapping Nee's nose lightly. "But you still miss him, don't you?" Nee bit her lip, hesitated for a long moment, then gave a small but very honest nod. That nod was like a tiny spark in a cloudy sky, faint but unextinguished. The two stayed in each other's arms for a long time. In Diep's embrace was the warmth of a child, innocent, healing, full of life. In Nee's embrace was Diep's protection, a place she trusted completely. But no matter how tightly they held on to each other, a thin, fragile, heavy layer of air still hung around them. A nameless worry. A quiet unease that slipped into every breath, every glance. As if hinting that storms still lay ahead, storms they had yet to see, yet to be ready for. And even though they tried to smile, tried to be strong, that unspoken unease lingered, following them like a shadow that refused to leave. Somewhere else, night had fallen completely. The road leading home for James stretched between two rows of darkened trees, with scattered streetlights flickering like weak sparks touching the cold, damp pavement. James's car rolled forward slowly, the engine humming steadily in the stillness. His hand stayed on the steering wheel, his eyes fixed ahead, yet his mind remained tangled in the tense conversation he had earlier with Lynn. An invisible fear crept into his chest like a cold draft, making each breath feel slightly tighter than normal. Suddenly, a flash of headlights burst from behind. Sharp. Intense. Aimed directly at James's rearview mirror, deliberately. The glare struck his eyes, forcing him to squint. A wave of tension shot straight down his spine. James tilted his head just enough to glance into the mirror. A dark-colored car. Blinding white headlights. Way too close. Close enough to be intentional. James's expression shifted instantly. His jaw clenched. His eyes sharpened, filled with alertness. No way. His grip on the wheel tightened. Someone found out? The words echoed inside the confined space of the car, sounding like a warning to himself. The black car behind him kept the exact same distance, not overtaking, not falling back, just tailing him with unnerving precision. Even when James turned into a smaller side road, it followed. When he slowed down, it slowed. When he sped up, it matched him instantly, like a shadow refusing to let go. James's heartbeat thudded once, heavy and sharp. Not panicked. Not frantic. But cold and ready. In the dim, shifting darkness beneath the trees, the two cars seemed to slip into a silent chase. No horns. No shouting. Only the weight of invisible danger pressing down, making even James's breathing heavier. Tonight was clearly no longer the peaceful night he expected. The black car behind James continued to tail him, every meter of road stretching out endlessly. In that moment, countless questions rushed through his mind, questions with no answers, yet heavy enough to crush his chest. What exactly was James up against? Were the secrets Lynn discovered in the warehouse only the surface? Had someone been watching James long before this night? Or had the mastermind behind everything gotten closer to him than he ever imagined? Who was pulling the strings? An outsider? Someone inside the company? Or the one person James never wanted to suspect, the man he called father, who hid far too many secrets. James bit down hard on his lip. The question stabbed into his thoughts like cold blades, but he couldn't stop, he couldn't afford weakness, couldn't turn back. Would he make it back safely to Diep and little me? The image of Diep standing in the yard at sunset, holding me with trembling arms. The image of me pouting, angry but still missing him. All of it pierced straight into James's heart, forcing him to grip the steering wheel even tighter, forcing him to survive. And the biggest question of all. Could James truly defeat his own father? Not a stranger. Not an easily predictable rival. But the man who raised him. The man he once respected. The man with more power than anyone James had ever faced. Defeating an enemy is hard. But defeating someone who shares your blood is 1,000 times harder. James knew one thing for certain. Once this began, there would be no turning back. If he won, he could protect Diep, me, the company, and the truth. If he lost, everything he loved would disappear. His hand tightened around the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. Tonight was only the beginning. And ahead lay far more danger, more than he could ever imagine. To be continued. Who is following James? What is his father truly hiding? Will James overcome the darkness closing in on his life? Don't miss the next episode. More secrets will be revealed.